It's great to welcome country music sensation Janna Leduc from Ontario to the program. Janna, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm really well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I had an overwhelming week, but hopefully this week is better.
Yeah. Well, it's Monday, so hopefully we're off to a good start with this. So,
Yeah, of course. Tell me about your plans for this year, 2025.
wow. That's a big one. 2025 for me is all about just kind of trying to get my music out there and connect with people and, start working my way into the festival circuit and keep recording and keep songwriting. I've really last year I kind of gathered up the songs that I had and the experiences that I had and tried to put them out into a first record, and that'll be released this year. So for me, the big focus is just kind of trying to get the word out there and let people know who I am and what it is that I'm all about, and hopefully get to share my music with them.
Okay. Well, how would you answer that question? Who are you and what you're about?
Who am I and what am I about? I'm a lot of things. First and foremost, I'm a very family oriented person, and that I think because of the experiences I've had with my family, I try and put that into my writing. And um, I've been a musician my whole life. I've been a working musician, gigging, in clubs and bars right from 17 upwards, and I was really focused on that, on making, music be my work and my life project. And I think what happened was I got so into gigging, I forgot about the songwriting and about sharing, who it is that I am as a person. So um, that's again, I think what the focus is this year. And I'm, I'm a lot of things. I was a teacher and worked at a pub. I still work at a pub sometimes, and I've lived in a 100-kilometer radius my whole life, and I plan to keep it that way and stay, grounded through this whole process. But I think that's who I am. That's what I'm about.
I see. So how far do you live now from the town that you grew up, Milverton, Ontario?
I'm about a 35, 40-minute drive, so not far at all. My parents are still there, and I'm still really involved in the community there. I participate in a lot of the events that go on there, and I still have lots of, really good friends and connections there. And I lived in Stratford, which is about 20 minutes away from there for a few years, and then my husband and I moved out to a tiny little town outside of Stratford. So I stick close to family and close to home.
I see that you prefer small town living over big city living, I suppose.
Very much so. Yes, that's me in a nutshell. I love being around people, and I love my job, and I love touring and getting out to the big cities and getting to see everyone, and I absolutely love that. But when I go home, I like to be out in the country. Like I feed the birds. I've got eight, I've got like 8 bird feeders in my backyard and watching deer out my back window. That's where I'm at home.
So is touring part of your 2025 plan?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I've been very fortunate with the groups that I've worked with over the years. So I've done a few tours to Europe, and I've toured some of the states, and been to a lot of parts of Canada, which is awesome. But my goal this year is to kind of focus in on the Canadian country market and see if I can't make my way across the whole thing. That would be wonderful. I hope to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah. And Canada's a big country, so to make it all the way through, it's a feat, I'll say.
Geographically, yes, it's pretty expansive, but I would really love to do that. I hope to do that.
Mhm. Are there parts of Canada that you haven't visited?
I've not been to the territories, which are way far up north. I would love to do that. Other than that, I've been to all the provinces, whether it be with work or holidays or family visiting, things like that. But I'd love to make my way to the territories. That would be very cool.
Um, where would be your travel highlights?
Travel highlights, music wise or other?
Both.
Both? Wow. Music wise, I suppose the first time I went to Europe, that was pretty amazing. I had been to France when I was a kid on an exchange. um, doing like a French program, but being able to go to Europe, we always flew into the Netherlands and then kind of made our way up to Germany and Switzerland, things like that. So that was probably the highlight for me the first time going there. It was really exciting and felt really cool that I was getting to explore places and work at the same time. As far as personally, I would say Newfoundland is my favorite place in Canada. I've been a couple of times. My husband and I went there on our honeymoon, which was fantastic. And then we went on a family trip when my daughter was about 2 or 3 and went out there and spent some time with my parents. And I love Newfoundland. It's an amazing place to visit. And it's just, I don't know, the people there are wonderful. And it's my favorite place.
Mhm. Yeah, I'd love to visit Newfoundland at some point. I know a lot of musicians there thanks to this program, and they're
Mhm.
all lovely people.
The music, I think maybe that's also part of the reason I find it so, um, I don't know. It feels like home away from home in Newfoundland, and I think I love fiddle. I love fiddle music. I've always loved fiddle music. The first band I was ever in when I was, I think I was probably 10 or 11 years old was a family band where my cousin played fiddle. I played acoustic guitar, and my other cousin played the piano. So fiddle for me, even though I don't play the instrument, has always just been, it's my favorite. I love it. It's all over my record, which I know, pop country doesn't necessarily have as much fiddle and steel, but for me, fiddle and steel are integral and important in country music and how the genre is portrayed. So maybe that's why I love Newfoundland so much. There's fiddles everywhere. It's wonderful.
Oh yeah, I love fiddle too. I had a chance to interview like quite a few fiddle music players, and yeah, they're all very dedicated people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and my daughter, she plays fiddle and she does Ottawa Valley step dancing, and so there's always fiddle music in my house. I love it.
Right. Yeah. Um, so tell me about how your family plays an inspiration into your songwriting.
Wow. Okay. Well, my family, we've always been a very close family. My parents really focused when we were kids on making sure that we were spending time together and family holidays. And my parents were really supportive of all. I have two brothers, and they were really supportive of all our individual interests. And my brothers both played hockey at a competitive level, and I was really into music, and I did choir and as many performances as I could. And they really took the time to make sure that we explored those interests and that we thrived in them. And I'm super grateful for that because I don't think I would be here without that. Um, it'll be 10 years ago this year. My youngest brother passed away in a car accident, and it was it was just something that kind of rocked us to our core. But I think because we're so close, we kind of made it through that whole experience together, and it gave me an interesting perspective. And I think it made me kind of pause and reevaluate where it was that I was going with music and what it was that I wanted to do. And um, excuse me. So I have a song "Carry On" that that is on all the streaming platforms, and that is about that experience. And I truly think that those words kind of encompass what it is that I'm working towards now. And I don't know that I would be here had it not been for all of those experiences. And um, goodness, this is getting to be. I'm sorry. I lost a daughter in 2020, and again, without the support of my family, I don't know that I would have made it through that experience and been able to um, move forward and talk about things and share my experiences and be able to write about those things. But I think that because I feel so secure in my family and because I know how to talk about those things with them and get through it with them, I think that I'm able to write about it. And that is very not only therapeutic, but um, it's it's a bit of a release for me and helps me kind of to make sure that I maintain perspective and remember the things that are important. Make sure I take time for my family. There are, certain weeks of the year that are just off limits for work because I spend a week at my cottage with my parents and my brother and his family and my sister and her family. And there's a weekend, the long weekend, May 2 4 in Canada that, again, off limits. The biggest promoter in the world could call and I'd still say, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy with my family that weekend. That's just something that we do together. So I'm really grateful for the family that I have and the support that I have and, in some way the experiences that I have, because I think I have perspective about life and the meaning and what's important and how to make sure that you're always finding balance. And I don't think most people my age maybe have that. And so I'm somewhat grateful in a way.
That's wonderful. And I'm sorry for your loss, and thank you for sharing that to me.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I wonder, how does becoming a wife and a mother makes you reassess your priorities, what's important, as you say?
Well, so prior to having my daughter, and even maybe even a little bit afterwards, but I was gigging maybe 5 6 nights a week. I was going to university full time. There was a lot going on. I was still working at the pub, and um, I think when my daughter came along, you've experienced this kind of love that you can't possibly have for anything or anyone else. And I truly believe that our kids are a reflection of us and the way that they're brought up. So it's the most meaningful job I'll ever have. And it's the one I take the most seriously. And it's the one that you can't do unless you actually just put the time in. And, my daughter and I have a wonderful relationship. She might actually be, my biggest fan. I think she's responsible for most of the streams on Spotify right now. Her and her friends. So, um, she keeps me grounded and she's just a joy to watch grow up and come into her own. And it's funny, I didn't choose music for her. That was something that she kind of came to all on her own. And she's also a really great volleyball player. And I want to make sure that I always have the time to be there for those tournaments and be there for those competitions when she's playing. And sometimes I can't, but my husband is the most hands-on dad you could ever hope for. So I think what's important is that kids know that they've always got someone in their corner, and I think my husband and I do a pretty good job of doing that. Um, and she inspires me. It's really cool to watch her figure out the world and see their perspective on things. It's really neat.
That's lovely to hear. And speaking of family, did you spend the holidays with them?
Yeah, we went up to my cottage for about a week with some friends, and we always do. I'm still really connected with all of my aunts and uncles, and we always get together um, with cousins, and it's quite a big family gathering on both sides, both my mom and my dad's sides of the family. So um, yeah, family's important to me. In the holidays that are always, they're a bit of a rush. We're always running around and trying to make last minute food to bring to potlucks and things like that. It sometimes gets a little crazy, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's really important to me.
So does everyone live close to each other?
Not at all, but we make it work. So I had my aunt flew in from BC to be home for Christmas. And unfortunately, a couple of my cousins from out west weren't able to come, but my cousin from Victoria, she came as well. And I have lots of family up in the Ottawa Valley, and those are extended cousins. And I still have a really great relationship with them too. So even my dad's cousins, I saw some of them over the holidays as well. So you know, I'm I'm very fortunate that I grew up in a family where both sides, are still really connected and really interested in what's going on in people's lives. We have these family group chats that one's called We Love Cats. It's absolutely ridiculous, but we, trade photos back and forth of cats, and it's so silly in some regards, but it's so really cool in others, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. I'm a big cat person, so I can certainly understand that.
Me
So,
too. Yeah.
when it comes to photos of cats, are they like your own cats or just cats that you find online?
Everything cats they find online, our own cats. I think my most recent one was one of my cats watching, trying to get the birds outside. So
Mhm.
it's a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my mom, she lives in Vietnam and she's coming with my dad with me to Budapest where I live right now. So
Mhm.
in a few days. And yeah, she would send me pictures of our cat and the videos of our cat,
Mhm.
mostly doing nothing. Um,
Yeah, exactly. It's great. And I'm a big dog person too. We have a dog, we have a husky mix, and I love animals and I love the outdoorsy stuff, nature. That's me in a nutshell. So it's pretty cool.
so I wonder, is that why you gravitate towards country music? Because it's generally seen as an outdoorsy genre.
I suppose. Yeah. That's definitely part of it. The part that I find um, that resonates the most with me about country music is the storytelling. So I think the genre is so diversified now in that, we have kind of this resurgence of the 90s country feel with the Zach Tops and things like that. And we also have, the new kind of pop country and then, the traditional country and there's bluegrass and all the things. But the thing for me that matters, and I appreciate all of the differentiations within the genre, but the thing that matters to me in a song is the story. And for me, country music is about storytelling. And if I can connect with the story and it's presented in a way within the genre that's maybe appealing to me, especially if there's fiddle and steel, then that's what that's what attracts me to country music. And I think, sometimes people outside of the genre think it's about truck beds and drinking beer and for me that's not the country music that I love, and that's not how I see the genre. I see the genre as, you know there's not many other types of music that, someone could sit with an acoustic guitar and sing just by themselves and tear your heart out with the song they're singing. Country music can do that. And I think that, in some ways the genre has moved away from that, but in other ways it still stays true. And that those are the songs that I like. And that's the country music. That's my kind of country music. And that's what I hope to put out there, songs that people can connect to and go, I understand what she's saying, or I've been there, or I've experienced this. And that to me is what I want my music to sound like. Is something of substance and something that's real.
Yeah. I wonder, in your songwriting, do you prioritize writing of your own experience, or do you prioritize writing to connect with those who listen to your songs?
It's a little bit of both. I don't write about anything that doesn't mean something to me. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's something that happened to me personally. I have a song that I wrote about a story that a really good friend told me, and it it really resonated with me about kind of a relationship that she had experienced. And I wrote about it because I had spoken to her and we had kind of talked about the way she was feeling, and sometimes that's where the songs come from. Sometimes it's directly a reflection of what has happened to me or what I'm experiencing, or um but either way, I think that it has to be meaningful to me in some way. I can't write about something that I don't know in my heart, or at least have connected with someone on some level about what it is that I'm trying to say. Somebody once said to me that, you know, the reason that songwriting is so important, and the reason that music is so important, is that if the story you were presenting to someone didn't mean anything, you just say it. You wouldn't sing about it. If you're going to sing about it, it has to be meaningful inherently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And what is the story behind your latest single, which is Drive?
Drive. Wow. Okay. So drive is kind of my mantra for 2025. I've spent a lot of time driving back and forth to Nashville, and I've spent a lot of time reflecting on how it is that I want to be able to make music my living. And there are so many avenues with which to do that. And I think prior to releasing Drive and prior to, kind of starting on this journey of presenting my own music, I was very focused on the monetary aspect of the industry. So I was out doing corporate gigs, and I was, playing in bars, and I was doing tons of tribute acts, and really trying to make a living and justify my existence within the industry financially. And I think that Drive is the song that reminds me that, there, as much as there is value in that, I must pay my cell phone bill eventually. I'm just kidding. I never miss my cell phone payments, um, but I think it's important for me because it just is that constant reminder that this is the path that I want to be on. And it's not an easy path at times, but it's it's the one I feel that I have to be on, and it's the one that means the most to me. So driving down I-65, that's the last highway that I get before I get to Nashville. So from my house to Nashville is about a 10-hour drive. And it's sometimes daunting when I get in the car because I always go by myself, and it's a long drive. So you know, um, but when I hit I-65, that's when it kind of feels like, oh, okay, I'm almost there, and I literally feel like I'm driving towards what I maybe should have been doing all along. But had I done that, I don't know if I would have collected the stories that I need to write about and record there, and do all these things. So, I mean, I suppose every part of this journey was was meaningful and purposeful, but Drive is kind of the reminder to me that this is what I want to do. And regardless of, how many stumbles there are along the way, it's still where I need to be.
Yes. Um, and what do you listen to like when you go on this drive to Nashville?
I talked to my mom.
Mm, wow.
um that, and I'm not joking. The last time, it was so funny. I was driving along, and I look down, and there's like a counter on my car for how long I've been talking on the phone with someone. I'd been talking on the phone with my mom for 4.5 hours. So I took a little, a picture of that when I had pulled over, and I just posted it on my social media and said, "Oh, I'm talking to my mom while I'm driving to Nashville." And that post got the most hits of anything I've ever posted online, because I think people know it's ridiculously true that I can talk to my mom for hours at a time, and she does. She talks me to Nashville more often than she doesn't. But when I'm listening to music, I'm a big '90s country fan for sure. So '90s country is definitely my kind of go-to playlist. And then I listen to podcasts. I find podcasts tend to keep me awake, and they keep me kind of engaged, and I learn a lot. I'm constantly consuming podcasts, trying to figure out how to navigate social media, especially. I'm a bit of an I joke with people and tell them I'm a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to technology. I'm still trying to figure it all out. But so I listen to the podcasts and hope that somebody can give me some direction as to how to make it all work. So
So, why 90s country music?
fiddle, steel,
Mm,
backbeat. That's something that I find is missing from country music sometimes now, in the modern interpretation of the genre. Is there's just that hair of a second that matters so much to me, where the snare drum lands and where the kick drum lands. And um, I find that country music and from the '90s kind of has that in spades. Um, and again, um, I think the storytelling in the '90s country music was pretty prolific. And I think too, I was growing up through the '90s, so for me, it's almost reminiscent, and it's fun. nostalgic. So I love that. I love Merle Haggard too. I love traditional country music. But when I'm driving, I tend to kind of gravitate towards the 90s and the podcasts.
Um, yeah, it took me a long time to appreciate country music because I didn't grow up listening to it. I spent like this holiday and recently listening to a lot of Johnny Cash, and
Yeah.
I think that's how I became like convinced that this this type of music, yeah, how it can speak to the soul and whatnot, and how it
Hmm.
can tell stories too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is one example. Like, so he has a song called "Ragged Old Flag," Cash, and the story is like he goes to this small town post office or a government building, and he sees like this flag. It's like tattered, and the colors are faded, and he asks the post office attendant, "Well, why don't you get a new one?" And then the the attendant he weaves a story about how this flag, the American flag, has been through Philadelphia during the Revolution, and it's been in the Civil War and the World War II and the Vietnam and all that, and now it ends up here, and it's been on the moon too with Neil Armstrong, and
Mhm.
it may be a ragged old flag, but it is our ragged old flag. And it's a very personal story, but it evokes this theme of American patriotism as not showboaty, but very humble. So,
Absolutely.
that is yeah, that was like the first song that led me to being reintroduced, so to speak, to Johnny Cash, and I haven't stopped listening to him since.
Yeah, it's amazing how a country music I really do find is one of the only genres where we can talk about a song in the way that you just did and and be able to kind of talk about the emotions and talk about the meaning behind it. And it's really truly, I don't know that you can talk about pop music in that way. I don't know that we could sit here and um, talk about a story in the way that you just did. And I think it's, people who aren't necessarily country music fans, if they gave the story a chance, I think it would resonate with more people. But country music's there's this, big social media thing going on right now where it's all of a sudden, country music is cool again, and I couldn't be happier about that. It's fantastic.
Mhm. Yeah, another aspect too is that the women of country music, thinking of course Dolly and Tammy Wynette, they speak about relationships in a very frank manner too. I don't think pop or folk music can speak of relationship in that manner. They're very yeah honest, uh, but without like exaggeration or without embellishment about like what they are going through,
Mhm.
with relationship and with like the male sex in general and all the challenges of I guess living through betrayal and difficulties and whatnot. And I think there's an honesty there that that's missing in almost any other musical genre, I think.
Absolutely, and some of my favorite vocalists have been, um, within the country music genre, like Linda Ronstadt. My goodness, her voice is just stunning, and her songs are phenomenal and heartbreaking, but exciting. And, they seem to have it all. I love it.
And I'm assuming that you make the trip to Nashville quite routinely.
I do, yes. In last year, I think I was there about 8 times. Um, I'm just trying to plan my next trip down there. I thought maybe I'd get there in February, but February is proving to be quite busy, so it might not be till March. But I've got 4 more songs ready that I really am hopeful about and excited about, and I would really like to get them recorded and have them ready to go for after this record comes out. So we'll see. But I quite enjoy spending my time there. It's really cool because I think, the best of all the worlds. I get to songwrite and I get to record, but I get to listen to amazing bands and I get to see some of my, favorite musicians while I'm down there, and also see friends who have almost become like family to me. So Nashville is kind of like a second home to me now.
So why should Nashville pay attention to you?
Because I'm not going to stop until they do. I'm just kidding. Um, um, wow, that's an interesting question because I was thinking about this morning when it comes to social media and things, because usually we use social media to kind of garner attention and things like that. And I was discussing this with um, my producer in Nashville, and I said, sometimes it feels like when I'm on social media that I'm tiring of telling everybody how awesome I am, because that's just not my personality. And that's not, I don't want to seem like a narcissist or seem like a, um, somebody who's not humble or somebody who's not grounded or level headed or grateful to be where I'm at. And um, so for me, I think what I would want for people to pay attention to, and why I think, I would hope that it would resonate with people is because of that fact, not because I think that, I'm the next biggest thing. It's because I think that I'm um, hopefully a real approach to the music, and I hope that I'm someone that people can relate to. And that's why I want people to pay attention to me. I don't want people to pay attention to me because um, for the wrong reasons. I want people to pay attention to my music and me because they want to and because they connect with me. And I hope that I do a good job of that. So
I see. Well, I certainly hope that Nashville pays attention to you now.
thank you. Me too.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't think it's wrong to boast as long as you boast about the right things.
Yeah, I try to, and not even try. It's not me trying. I really am grateful for all of the things that are happening and the opportunities that are being presented to me. And sometimes I'm when I say that I'm in disbelief, I truly am. And I've had a lot of help getting to where it is that I am, and I know that I have a long way to go, but I feel like I have a really supportive, network of friends and family and people within the industry, and I'm just excited. And I'm not um I'm not so focused on the end goal. I mean, um I think if you talk to other musicians, maybe if they're a little younger than I am, their goal, they say, well, I want to fill stadiums and I want to be the next Carrie Underwood or whatever. That's not necessarily the goal for me. I certainly wouldn't say no to any of those things, that's for sure. But the goal for me is just to keep going and be appreciative and not necessarily focus on the future um, and all the things that I don't have, but just be grateful along the way for all the things that I do. There are not many people, you know, that have been blessed with the opportunities that I have. And there aren't, and I'm very aware of that. And I am very aware of the flexibility that my family and my work and everything gives me. And I'm goal oriented, but I'm also very much um, just one of those people that tries to live in the moment and be grateful for the things that are happening right now, as opposed to being, dwelling on the things that aren't happening for the future. I think those things will come, and I think we just have to enjoy the ride. Because if anyone knows that tomorrow is not promised, I think I'm perpetually aware of that. So.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, I often ask like younger country musicians like who they'd like to open for, and
Mhm.
I think their answer would reveal like who they would like to be or who they would like to be similar to. So they would throw out names like Taylor Swift or Shania Twain, maybe, or something like that, or any other new stars. I suppose Kelsey Ballerini is one of them. So that is quite telling. So I'd like to pass on that question to you. Who would you like to open for?
If I had my pick of anyone in the world, I think, um, Goodness, that's tricky. I think Eric Church for me. And the reason being, I love the diversity in Eric Church's music. I I have a bit of a rockier edge to my voice at times, and he does as well. And he's got these hits that are on the radio that are wonderful. But what I actually love about Eric Church is all the B-side stuff. They're really cool. Um, some of his ballads are just phenomenal, and but his songwriting is so clever, and it's so it, his songs are so well penned, and I think I would just love to open for him for that reason alone. I just love to um, be a part of that kind of songwriting.
Well, hopefully, you get to do so in
That
the
would be
near
amazing.
future. Tell me about the upcoming album that you have planned. Is titled "Long Time Coming."
Hmm. So I recorded 14 songs while I was in Nashville over the past year. So I'm trying to pare that down to maybe 12 because I know 14 is probably a lot for one record, but I um, and I was really careful about what songs I picked for that one. Again, I wanted them to all mean something, but I wanted people to understand about me that I want to be that well-rounded artist similar to an Eric Church. Um, so I've got a bluegrass tune on there that it is so much fun to play, and the band did a phenomenal job in putting that one together, and it really kind of features the musicality of those people, and which is super important to me. You know, I usually bring out a band that's way too big for the stage that I'm on, and people are, the Tailgate Music Festival that I filmed Drive at, I had a 9-piece band with me that day. It was awesome. I love it because the music is so important to me. And then I have, these heart-wrenching ballads for me anyways. There's a couple of those, and then there's kind of those anthems like Drive. And I think what people will see with this record is just a very well-rounded, open and honest approach to who I am as a musician and who I want to be going forward. And I put it all in there, not knowing full well that my bluegrass tune is never going to get played on popular radio. I know that, but I love bluegrass, and I I love country music in all of its forms. So it's like it was important to me that that song made it onto the record because that's me. And I think, you know, um, I could have put 12 songs on there that I thought were, radio hits, quote unquote, but that wouldn't be honest, and that wouldn't be a reflection of who I am as a person. And entitling the record "Long Time Coming" was very purposeful in that I just kind of said to myself, okay, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is where I'll be. You know, it may not, some of the songs may not be, quote unquote radio friendly, but they're country and they're me. And so they're going on there. And I hope that resonates with people.
I look forward to when the album comes out.
Thank you. Me too. It's
Yeah.
coming.
So, do you have a fixed date of release yet?
I'm planning to do a CD release party probably in May or June is what I'm hoping for. I'm in the process of kind of settling out my calendar, and now is the time where all the festivals and things are booking. So I'm busy at trying to do that, and um, and then I'm going to start getting into planning mode for releasing that record and making sure people have. I'm going to go old school. I'm going to press CDs. I'm going to have physical copies, and because that's me. So yeah, May or June.
All right. Yeah, and I certainly hope to welcome you back to the show when the album comes out. We'll have much
Thank
to
you.
talk
I
about.
would love to chat with you. It's been a lovely Monday morning. I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah, and me too, even though it's Monday afternoon where the sun has set already. Uh,
Oh,
Fresh.
sorry. Yes, I forgot. I'm still drinking my green tea. It's morning for me.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that you're issuing CDs as well. I love to like pick up CDs from the people that I've talked to on this show, and chances are I'll ask for one copy from you.
Oh, absolutely. I will send one to you as soon as they're ready.
All right. So, what impact do you hope your music would have on the people who listen to it?
Wow. I suppose it depends on the song. Um, I just hope, I hope that the ballad about my brother, I hope people can connect to that who need it. And there have been lots of people who've reached out and said that. I hope Drive connects to maybe some, young girls in the industry, or even, kids my daughter's age, if this is what their goal is, or whatever their goal is. I hope it inspires them to drive and to do those things. I hope the bluegrass tune inspires people to, hone in and master their instruments, if they're, learning how to play the fiddle or learning how to play guitar or anything like that. I suppose, I just hope that rather than, you know, consume music, which I think that, because there's so much of it now, we have a tendency to do. I hope that people really find a connection to it, regardless of what song it is, and take whatever it is that they need from it, and make it meaningful to them. I suppose that's the goal.
I suppose your belief in the power of music to connect with people, helps you to maintain being a musician.
Very much so. I truly believe in the art form to be, both therapeutic and inspiring, um, and meaningful in ways that, um, are hard to describe, and hard to really kind of put your finger on what it is that it does. But I do believe that it has that power for sure.
So finally, I guess it's a somewhat related question. What does music mean to you?
Oh, music for me is, I don't know, it's my life's work. Does that make sense? And
Sure.
I think that it evolves with me. I think if you would have asked me, 20 years ago what music meant to me, I had these big, bright ideas, and you know, visions of kind of grandeur in my head about what that could be. Um, and then, if you asked me 10 years ago what music was to me, music was work, very much so. And I was still passionate about it, but it was music was my industry, and my means with which to provide for my family. So it was very much, not sterile, but I my job was to go out and play the songs that people wanted to hear, and deliver them well. And I really truly enjoyed that, and I learned a lot from it. But now music for me is just, um, is kind of, it's my goal, it's my, outlet, it's my, exciting new adventure, yet it's still my old adventure. I don't, it's constantly evolving with me, but for me, music right now is very much focused on songwriting, and and exploring that avenue of possibility.
Do you suppose that if we were to meet 5 or 10 years from now, your answer would stay the same or be different?
I think that it's fluid and transient, and it means different things. It can mean something totally different to me tomorrow. But I think the overall kind of reaching, theme for me going forward, and I think it will always be this way now, is the songwriting. That's that's something that I don't think now will ever change.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, Janna Leduc, for joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really nice to chat with you.